So, I guess because this computer doesn't mirror, right, I'm probably just gonna go down here and present here. So, before I start, how many of you have been to Japan before? How many of you have attended concerts? Okay. So, generally, it's a lot different than it is in America. For one, Japan really hates scalping. There's no Ticketmaster-like thing, which is really good, but also can be really frustrating, especially for foreigners. So some of the stuff I may leave out or not give too much detail because it is kind of not illegal, but a little bit of a gray, could be abused by bad actors. But it doesn't. You should be able to know everything, and if you want the help, you should be able to get it. So the first most important thing, figuring out, let's say you're planning a trip and you want to figure out where you want to go to, if you don't already have something in mind. Eventronote.com is the single best source you could go to. It is in Japanese, but you can search by date, you can search artists, you can search events, and you can create an account and mark events you want to go to, all the information, venues, times, prices. It's a fans-run site, and anyone can submit an event there. So if you're not Japanese speaking and you want a more English-friendly place, this is an invite to a huge Discord community that basically people there are even way more crazier than I am. They either live there or they go every weekend or something. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but you get the idea. So the hardest part for a foreigner is all the ticketing sites, everything requires getting a Japanese phone number and address. The address part is easy if you're familiar with Tenso or other forwarding sites for shipping things. They usually give you a number to work with. Now the Japanese phone number is where the real complication gets in. As a foreigner, there are a couple of options you can get, but they can only be activated within Japan. They can only receive texts and calls in Japan too for the verification. So you can't order one and activate it in the US. There used to be ones where you could do that, but they started requiring address verification. So that's basically become impossible for foreigners. But once you've overcome this hurdle, then everything is not as difficult. So the main ticketing platforms, E+ is probably the number one most used one. For all the stuff I've been to, that's probably the one I've used 80 to 90% of the time. Then there's Ticketpedia, and Lawson Ticket or L-Type. These are the main three. And generally, when you see a live announce, it'll probably be used one of these three. But there's a whole bunch of others, but those may be for more smaller events. As far as E+ goes, it only requires a SMS verification. Ticketpedia requires a phone call verification, and unless you're using a Japanese VPN, it'll constantly require that for every little thing you do. Lawson Ticket is the most annoying by far because they're known to shadow ban your account just for accessing it overseas or trying to create one overseas, and it's a huge pain. And then it permanently locks the email address used for that account. And it doesn't even tell you you're banned. You just try to log in and it gives you an error over and over again. You can change the password. Yeah?
Does your email address also have to be Japanese? Or
No. You can just use a regular email. No. At least from my experience. And then there's also smart versus physical tickets. It used to be mostly physical, where you print them out at a convenience store, or I think in some cases they mail it to you, but that's usually rare. And I don't have any on me, but it's just a paper ticket like you would any other. But a lot of them have moved towards smart or digital, and it's become more complicated too. So how Japan is a lot different from America in terms of ticketing is everything is chusen or lottery based. If you're interested in a concert, you generally have to apply for a lottery, and yeah, so you log into whatever ticketing account it needs. You select your number of tickets. For really big events, it's usually up to 4. For smaller events or high demand events, it's usually up to 2. And then you select the payment method, which I'll go over those in another slide. You wait for the results to come out, and then you pay if you win. It doesn't charge or pre-authorize your card before you pay it. It's just if it can't do anything, then that means you usually lose access to the ticket. One of the strategies, a lot of big lives will have 2 days with it's basically the same concert, but maybe a song or 2 different, is you would apply for 2 tickets for both of the days, and then if you win one of them, you trade with someone else who won 2 tickets for the other day, and you both go both days. And if you get 2 tickets, or 3 or 4, or however many, they're generally all in a row right next to each other. So the seat is randomized too. You literally sometimes will not know where you're sitting until day of. Another measure of fight scalping. So if a ticket is $80, you could be front row or you could be back row. And generally there's usually just more than one round. So if you lose one round, it's not the end of the world. So, they'll announce the live and maybe some merch associated with that live, like a CD or a Blu-ray or a photo book or art book or whatever. And then fan club round. A lot of popular artists have their fan club, which is a paid monthly thing. And if you're part of that, you get first dibs at they'll have a lottery just for the fan club members. And those generally have better seats and higher chance of winning. And some of them also have, the longer you're a member, the higher the tier you are, and the better seats or more likelihood of getting tickets. Then there's merch coach general rounds. Some lotteries you have to buy this Blu-ray with a code, and then you enter the code into the account. And generally you can buy as many, it's like buying lottery tickets, you can buy as many as you want. And some will limit you to only 1 per account, or you can win as many codes as they decide wins. And some are just free rounds. Again, it depends on the concert or the live. And then, general round is the free rounds. You don't need a code or anything. And then at the very, very end, if any unsold tickets, or if it's really popular, they may open up partially obstructed view or behind stage seats. That's what's called EPON, or general sales. And then it's just basically a free-for-all until the concert is sold out. And sometimes too they'll have credit card rounds, which is you need to have a Japanese credit card, which as far as I know is impossible for foreigners. So. And that's also when the credit card's another way to I'll go over the payment methods here. And then in some very rare cases, Kaigai or foreigner package, so if any of you are familiar with Love Live concerts recently, they have special foreigner lotteries, which you don't need the E+, you don't need the phone number, the verification, or navigating Japanese ticketing sites. And the thing with those is it's usually bundled with a hotel, and the whole package is more expensive than what you could get individually, but it's generally good seats from what I understand. And the value, if you don't have the means to go through the normal method, then it's a good deal. So now we'll get to talking about payment methods. For us foreigners to buy tickets, probably the most common option would be Kambi, which translates to a friend in Japan. So if you win one of these lotteries and you select Kambi as the payment method, that means, okay, you won, now you have 3 days to pay for the ticket, which means you get a barcode on your app or a picture, or a number that you need to enter into a machine, and you need to have someone take it to a 7-Eleven, a Lawson, or a Family Mart, and I think there's some others. Some like are specified one of those, some you can do it at any. And that's another reason where the Discord comes into play. You know, there are people there all the time, so you can ask them for help. I personally have like a few friends who live there that help all the time. There's some digital prepaid cards like Line Pay. I think there's like A&A Pay, Toyota Wallet, where you can load it with Japanese yen, but I haven't used them too much. Some do require, like, you know, the Japanese phone number and address again to sign up for them. And they all have like limits to how much you can load in a day, load in a month, or whatever. So it's an option if you don't want to rely on anyone in Japan and you have the means to do so. An alternative, so let's say you decide you wanted to go too late, and everything is sold out, or you lost all your lotteries. Again, the Discord, people might have extras they can sell. Scalp and resale sites, that's another kind of like gray area, since Japan doesn't allow scalping, but they don't really know the person behind the tickets. But again, you would usually require communicating with someone in Japan plus a Japanese payment method like the commune I mentioned. And Twitter, sometimes people say, oh, they got COVID or they can't go week of. If you know how to navigate Twitter Japan well enough, you could possibly find resale listings. At venue, I know of people who've gone to venue day of and tried to buy tickets from people there. I wouldn't rely on that method, but again, that's another option. Now, there's another little issue with this. ID checks. It depends again on the concert. Some are really strict, some are not. With physical paper tickets, it doesn't really matter. You did it, but with digital tickets, some of them are tied just specifically to the account. They would either need to log in or like either towards tied to the phone. I personally have actually gotten smashed through an ID check before. It was Walk-Your Final in May earlier this year. I went to the Osaka stops. I presented a ticket and my passport. I acted confused, and despite the name mismatch, they let me through. So, ID smashing does sometimes happen. But, and then there's also, with Love Live concerts, what they do recently is you have to upload your photo like a few days before, and then they check that photo. So, I mean, you can still resell, and for that one, you can't like apply for 2 tickets and sell the other, trade the other one. You have to like declare the accounts of everyone you're applying for if you do multiple. So it's a bit more complicated for that, but generally speaking, it's not that hard to. I wouldn't worry too much unless the concert is specifically bad about it. So okay, you got your tickets. The day of the live, there's what's called Groupon or merch. Generally they have a big tents or merch thing set up where you can, like t-shirts, pen blades, towels, keychains, other stuff like that. Get your pen lights and UOs ready. For those who don't, I don't have any on me. I should have brought it, but it's like those traffic controller things. And you switch the colors depending on the performer for like idols, or maybe the song is a specific image color. And in Japan, that's just kind of I'll have some pictures after this, and it'll be more clear. UOs are the temporary like chemical lights that you break and then you cyclone during hype parts of songs. And then after, generally, there's like off ties, which are just post-live meetups and celebrations, and it can range from really big to really small, depending. So this is basically how it all works. Because you have to plan so far in advance, you have to it's far, far easier to have tickets, to sell tickets you can't use than it is to try to get them last minute. And this is generally describes the entire process. So is this all hassle really worth it? Yes. It's been some of the best experiences of my life. And I've gone to Japan 5 times. My first one was in 2019, and ever since it's just so much better than just general anime conventions and the performance, the stage setups, the audience enthusiasm. It's like, especially if it's one of your favorite artists or groups, it's totally worth it. Alright, so now I'm going to pull up all the stuff that I did this year. Dave. Oh, there we go. That's just full screen as it's going to go. So this was walk to the final, Osaka Day 1. I had a side seat for that, and you can kind of see how the stage was like a diamond. And Walk Here is one of my favorite groups. They're the most recent Macross, from Macross Delta, 5-unit idol group. And, since it was their final live, I had to go. And I ended up going to 4 out of 6 of their performances. Yeah. That was Osaka Day 2, kind of around the same area. That was Makuhari Day 1. And then Makuhari Day 2. In regards to this, sometimes the Chusen can be severely brutal. So in this case, the first round Chusen was through Blu-rays from the previous live, and which were like $50, $60 Blu-rays. And it was through a platform called Funity, which is, you didn't need a phone number verification or anything to sign up, so it was pretty foreigner friendly. And I'm a moderator for the Macross Discord, and that's why I organized a huge group Chusen, had people submit codes, and we'd split tickets evenly. I got 30 codes total, split across like 20 accounts. That first round, not a single one of them won. That is how brutal the Chusen can be sometimes. But I was lucky enough to get tickets for Osaka from someone who had extras in the Discord. And then I got my other Osaka ticket from general sales. I was fast. I had a friend help me, and they were fast enough to get one. And then for Makuhari Day 1 and 2, it was actually a newly announced performance after the previous ones had pretty much sold out, which surprised us all. And when I entered all the accounts again, this time it was just free entry, every one of them won. I guess they had enough space. So this was kind of last minute planning and on my part, but I'm really glad I went. Some of the best moments of my life. And then, so this was my May trip, and then my most recent trip, I went from December 7th to December 27th, and I did like 14 days of concerts then. So the first one I did was Yuki Kajiura. If you're familiar, she does a lot of soundtrack stuff for anime and games. I know God Hack, Sword Art Online, Xenosaga Episode 3, a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm forgetting. But, and the Fate series. But this was a really good live. I got to hear a bunch of things that I didn't think I would ever see live before. One of which being a collab with Revo from Linked Horizon, who did the original Attack on Titan openings, and they did a song called Dreamport together, which hadn't been performed live since like 2008 or something. So that was really cool. Unfortunately, I was only able to go to day one of this because day two conflicted with other stuff. That's another thing you have to think about when going to these. There's going to be a lot of conflicts, especially on weekends. So just prioritize, which tickets did you win, which do you want to go to more. So that was my seat for that. I actually bought these tickets late, so in this case, it was a behind the stage seat, but it's actually a pretty good view. I was really happy with that. I was expecting behind the stage with just a screen, but this was a really good start. Then the next couple of days after this, I did MAGFest, which was a huge collaboration concert between Love Live and Idolmaster. First of its kind thing, and it was they performed 50 songs each day, completely unique, so it was 100 songs total. So I won the first round Shusen for that, and that was the main concert I was going to for that trip. And yeah, that's kind of a photo of the stage for the venue. It was Tokyo Dome, which is 50,000 person venue.
Oh, they got this bus.
Yeah. So that was my seat for day one. It was kind of in the arena area, or in the stands area, and you can see how gigantic this venue is and how big the stage is. It's a huge wide thing. For day two, I lucked out really good. I got second row seats.
Ooh, wow.
So it was on the left, so from this view, it was right around here on the left side. And that's just how it goes. Sometimes you end up lucking into really, really good seats. So any performance that got on the left side, it was really good. I was really happy with that. Next. Oh yeah, this was a smaller event that I did. It was Dream and Music Festival, which had Claris and Rika Matsumoto, who did sing the original Japanese Pokemon anime theme.
Woo!
And Claris is a favorite of mine too, so that's mainly why I went.
She voices Ash Ketchum too.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. So this was at a small venue called Hewlett Hall. Back to Eiji again. If any of you are familiar with Snow Halation and UO Pops, that's a picture of what happened on day two. Essentially, the finale was Love Live performed IMAX songs and IMAX performed Love Live songs. One of the last finales was Snow Halation. And this is what you do for Snow Halation, that everyone in the audience was doing this. I never thought I'd get to be in a Tokyo Dome UO Pop for this. This next one I did was Flow. And this specific concert was them just covering Naruto songs from Naruto Shippuden and Boruto. So this was a funny situation for me in which it was through L-Type, and because of phone number and account issue stuff, there's another one I got smashed through basically. Not for ID, but I didn't have the tickets on my phone account because it was tied to another phone, but I was just able to guide smash through anyway, at least for day one. This one was really good. If you're familiar with Go or We Are Fighting Dreamers, that's their classic song. And they have that was my seat for day two. This one was free seated. And some of the smaller concerts are like that. Right, this next one was another Love Live related concert. The Genjitsu no Yohane, the Yohane spinoff that aired recently. This was a concert dedicated to that, and it was a 3-day concert. But I only went to day one and day three in favor of something else for day two. So this was the outside of the venue. And they had the little stuff sometimes they have displays and stuff. That was my seat for day one. And, okay, yeah. And then instead of day two, I was lucky enough to be able to get tickets to Lisa, which is one of my all-time favorite artists. I went to her first day on her final Tokyo stop for the Langer tour. I don't know why this picture came out blurry, but there's a zoomed in one. But that one was really good. I really love Lisa. lot of the first Anisong themes I really got into. And I was surprised to learn that she apparently sings the Japanese theme to the Across the Spider-Verse movie. And she sang that in this live. It was really good. And then there's my day 3 seat for Yohane. I got in on a later Chusen, so my seat was not far back, but it was still a good view. And when they went on that center disc thing, it was really cool seeing. And then that's kind of like the advantage. Like if you're up front, you can see them up close, but if you're all back, you can see all the headlights and almost a top-down view of everything that's going on. You get a wider range. So, and in some menus, there really is no bad seat. And as people have said in the Discord, being inside the venue is always better than being outside the venue. This was a mini Seiyu event for Yuka Iguchi, who does a lot of voice acting and Anisong stuff. And this was short and cute. It was part of her 10th anniversary thing. Oh, right. This was when I went to Tomori Kusunoki, her birthday live. She does some Anisong stuff, and she was also the former voice actor for Yuki Setsuna from Love Live Nijigasaki. She stopped because of, I think, performance or related things. I mean, her voice is still good. And she's done some songs I like, and, she's just a singer I like. This wasn't hard to get tickets, so I lost the first round Chusen, but I got in on the second round. And then one of the last major events I did was Love Live Nijigasaki 6th Live. And that was one of my favorite closers of the thing. I ended up buying tickets off of someone else for this in the Discord. Because I entered her. I decided I was going to Japan past the initial Chusen rounds. But the seats weren't bad. It was basically an all-arena flat area, and for day 1 I actually got close to carts. And with some lives they basically go through the audience on staff push or pulled carts, and you get to see them up close during the songs for a little bit of time. So this was really good for that. It's a little bit of a zoom in. This was in Aichi or Nagoya, so I had the bullet train down there. Wasn't too bad. Stayed at the hotel there for a couple nights with others. And that was nice. I did both days of this. That was my day 2. It was a bit off to the side, but it was still pretty good. And then this last one I did was Aikatsu Stars Acoustic Live. I'm also a big Aikatsu fan, which is a long Japanese idol franchise aimed at kids, but it has a lot going for it. I mean, while the original show is 178 episodes, and there's 3 other shows after that. But this was the second show, Aikatsu Stars, and I got the first section, but I didn't get the second section. And that was the one thing that I regret missing, or in terms of I wasn't able to get everything I wanted. That was the last thing I wanted. But otherwise, I think this was a very, very good trip, and I would like to say my luck generally pretty good in getting everything. Is that it? Yeah. All right, I think that's the last picture I had. Go back to the PowerPoint. So afterthoughts, Q&A. Once I started going to Japan, it's just been really amazing experiences. I've kind of cut down on the number of cons I go to, except for this one is when I just really love the atmosphere and how it works. But at general anime cons, I've kind of cut down on those because of Japan. It offers everything I want there but better. I went to Anime Expo 2017 and 2019 mainly for Anisong World Matsuri, but once they stopped that, then I'm just well, I can just go to Japan. Have anything after this? Okay, no. All right. Are there any questions? Okay.
Are you Is this complicated, cumbersome ticketing procedures you're talking about dealing primarily with concert performances, or do you also need that to go to some of the museums and visitor attractions there? Do you know? Can you,
I think I understand. So the question was, the complicated ticketing procedures, or do they apply to museums and visitor attractions? And generally, I don't think so. The tourism stuff, I think you can just walk in and buy normally.
this is primarily for this concert.
Yeah, for high demand events where scalping could be a problem, because Japan hates scalping, and they do everything they can to cut down on it, for better or for worse. Yeah.
Similarly, is this mainly for like J-pop, like idol, video game adjacent stuff, anime stuff, or is this also sort of apply to high demand classical concerts, plays?
Question is, does this apply to classical and other stuff versus J-pop idols? Admitted for that, but I'd imagine anything that's high demand will be run like this. At least some form of lottery, because Japan hates scalping. Any others?
Are you familiar with the process for Rock in Japan Fest?
I've heard of it, but I can't say I've ever. Or the question, are you familiar with the process for Rock in Japan Fest? And yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Entry to Japan, did they change it? I know back then it used to be passport, but did it require visa, COVID test, anything, any changes?
The question is there any new changes regarding entry? Is it just passport or anything else? During the pandemic, or like right after the pandemic when they opened its borders, you did have to have, you filled out a thing, Visit Japan Web online, which you had to upload a picture of your like vaccination card and everything, But now I think you can still fill that out to like, instead of filling out the customs questions manually, you can do that all online, get a QR code, and then just make the process smooth. Yes.
A broader question, for better or for worse, I'm liking what I'm seeing with the exchange rate.
Yes.
Do you have a preferred way of buying yen in the U.S.?
Do I have a preferred way of buying yen in the U.S.? I recommend using Wise. It's an account where you can hold currencies of multiple different things, and they have really, really low fees.
Okay.
And you can get a physical debit card for it too. So you can store a whole bunch of yen, and then you can use it like to pay for things in yen in Japan. So it's really nice.
Does it expire?
I think so, but I think you can just get another one sent for free. It's only like $9 for the card initially.
Oh.
Yes.
Can you talk more about the process of getting a phone and an address, a Japanese phone and address?
I think the Hanasell and Mobile, MOBAL, is the carriers you would want to look into, and you can order it to send to to the airport when you land, but again, it cannot be shipped overseas. You cannot activate it overseas. It has to be activated in Japan, and the cost is actually pretty nice. For just the basic maintenance cost, it's only $8 a year, $8 USD a year.
Can you spell that?
Hanacell, Hanacell. And it's one of those where like every time you call or text, it will charge a fee, but it's like a really low fee, and if you just need it for SMS verifications, then you don't pay anything, which is what all these ticketing apps use. Yes?
So you talked, I thought it was really nice layout of the process, which I've done. Do you have a suggestion? So like I plan my travel 1 year to 18 months ahead. But I'd like to travel around concerts that I like to go to. Do you have a suggestion for like a timeline when you should start looking for tickets?
If there's an artist or group, or the question is, if I'm planning my trip around concerts, when or how should I start looking for these tickets? My advice is if there's an artist or group you particularly like, follow their social media, look online, join the Discord. They have a forum for like every new major and small thing for people who are interested in those kind of events. And generally the artist's official, or join the fan clubs too if they have those, and then you'll get, you can use Google Translate, you'll get updates and notifications on any lives they might do. But it all depends on what your interests are. Alright.
For the Chusen, when you're waiting to see if you got the lottery ticket, how long do you think that usually takes?
It can take, it's generally not too long. It's like maybe a couple weeks at most to a few days. I actually just got notification I won one recently for King Super Live in May, which is like all the artists under King Sonata, Music, Angela, Saji, and a lot more.
So like anywhere from a couple days to maybe a week or so.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You in the back.
Any tips for finding smaller venues that wouldn't require a lottery, where you just show up the day after to see an event?
Any tips for finding smaller venues that don't require the lottery? The lottery is dependent on the live itself, not necessarily the venue. The last concert I showed, the I Got Two Stars acoustic live, that was a really small venue, like maybe only a few hundred people. That one was lottery based. So again, it depends on the popularity, the scalping potential. It's not venue dependent.
Is there a way to know if there's going to be a lottery or not?
That's generally announced when the concert is announced. You.
Would you know if like club rates or house shows are lottery dependent?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Club rates, like rates at clubs.
Collaborates?
Club raves.
Oh, club raves. Those might just be like you walk in and you pay the ticket there. I'm not too familiar with that. I assume you're for like Magra and stuff, like Club Magra. Okay. Any others? You?
Is it easier to get tickets for a tour if you aim for smaller cities or places outside of like Tokyo?
Is it easier to get tickets for a tour that's outside of Tokyo or in smaller cities? I think it depends. It depends on the popularity of the artist and the size of the venue. I'm not too familiar with that. There's only a couple of concerts that I did multiple tours of in multiple cities. That was the Walk Here one. Yeah. Any other questions? You. Oh, yeah. Let's pull that up. There's the two things. Yeah, just go to type Anisong.events in your browser and it will automatically redirect you to the Discord. Anyone else? Yes?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. With this being, with finding out 4 months ahead of time, how do you find reasonably priced airfare?
My recommendation is Google Flights. You can literally just, you type in the cities you want and then you can like relative dates and then you can see a price chart with like the cheapest. In my experience, if you live in a city that's kind of expensive, then what I've done in the past is chained 2 separate flights together. Like Southwest is the cheapest for me, so Southwest to LA and then direct from LA. Because LA is probably the easiest and it has the most flights to Japan. It's also the cheapest direct flight. And they've recently just got a new airline called Zip Air, which is like, if you do it right, you can get round trip for like $600 or $700, which is really, and then, you know, chain that with Southwest. But just be wary if you're booking 2 separate airlines, there can be issues there. The very first time I went to Japan, I tried doing that and my Southwest flight got canceled because of like weather tornado, and I had to rebook the last one for like $500 direct from my city, and I lost a day in Japan. So just be careful about that. Yes, you, the back.
Alright. So personally, how did you get a Japanese phone number?
Well, the address is easy. You just sign up, or how did I get a Japanese phone number address?
I know, wait, what's the process exactly you did?
I started out, I think, by borrowing a friend's number to sign up who's not into eventing stuff. And then eventually I did get my own hot cell. Yeah.
Sorry if we went over this already, but
Yeah, that's fine.
do you have any recommendations for like getting cellular data in Japan as well?
Recommendations for cellular data. I personally rent what's called pocket Wi-Fi's, so it's like a little device with like a SIM in it, and it basically connects to a Japanese network, and then you connect with your phone via Wi-Fi. There are rental SIMs you can get to, but I have not used or looked into those.
eSIM is the way to go now. Yeah, use AirAllo on eSIM.
Yeah, that's what I heard is the best one.
So it's
AirAllo.
Yeah, AIRALO.
Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? All right, then I'll go ahead and wrap this up. I hang around in that Discord. I go by Bumpmaster. And feel free to DM me if you want to, or any tips or other things. Oh, yes, one last one.
I understand my friend that it might, it's possible it could be around like late October, like Halloween time. Is there any interesting things or events going on that time?
I think generally, or is there anything interesting going on in Japan around October or Halloween? I think there is some good Halloween stuff, maybe around Shibuya. Like I know they have like everyone, dresses up and, goes out and parties there. But that's about the extent I know. I have not been there in October, I don't think. All right, if there's nothing else, I think that's it.